Have you ever wanted your team to bring you more innovative ideas? Much of what I see described as innovative is, in fact, old wine in new bottles. There's a reason creativity is difficult, and the way to encourage creativity is counterintuitive to a lot of leadership thinking. By the end of this 5-minute seminar, you'll understand why that is and how to get your team to be more creative. Let me take you into a coaching session I had with a customer experience leader at a top-tier pharmaceutical company. He was smart, well-intentioned, experienced and utterly stuck. He'd asked his team to bring fresh ideas to an off-site meeting, and what he got instead were recycled thoughts dressed up as innovation. He was genuinely frustrated. If business protocol had allowed it, I might have offered him a sympathy hug. Instead, I did what good coaches do. I asked questions. We started with the basics. What are the experiences of the healthcare professionals, peers and patients that are your customers? He was an expert on that. Then I asked how these experiences differ between customers at different companies. Again, he was very knowledgeable about this. But when I asked, so why are some companies more creative in their approach to customer experience than others, we hit a wall. In his own words, he had no clue. So we took a walk to his office restaurant. Sometimes a change of scene helps change the mind. Over lunch, I pulled 2 ideas from the dusty corners of my academic brain. The first was organisation slack. That's a concept from Site & March's classic 1963 work. It shows that companies with spare resources adapt better to change, and that's because slack gives space for experimentation. The second idea was a more esoteric gem from my Darwinian research about studies on captive monkeys, in fact. It turns out that monkeys in captivity often solve problems faster than their wild cousins. Why? Because they're not busy surviving. They have time, slack if you like, to play, to explore, to learn. And these 2 ideas are actually linked. They both tell us that creativity thrives when there's room to breathe. As I explained this, I saw the light bulb flicker in my client's eyes. He told me that his team had recently downsized and they were juggling more work with less time. Also, there was a lot of compliance bureaucracy which was eating their day. So there was no slack, no space. It was no surprise that they weren't innovating. He said, could it be that creativity needs slack and some companies allow for that while others don't? That's exactly what I said. There's no pharma-specific research on this yet, but findings from other sectors suggest that pressure teams don't innovate very well. What they do instead is they satisfy, that is, they tick boxes, they get problems off their desks and onto somebody else's desk. What they don't do is think outside of the box. Now this breakthrough led us to the next question. How can we improve your team's creativity? And his answer was practical. Carve out more time for creative thinking. But more importantly, make that time possible by streamlining compliance processes and by outsourcing minor tasks. We also agreed to use some proven reframing techniques to oil the wheels of his creativity. I'll share those in a future episode. So here's the lesson from today's seminar. Creativity needs slack. In practice, this means streamlining necessary tasks that don't add much value. And it means creating space for experimenting. And it means being less focused on quantitative metrics. And like the monkeys in a cage, it means removing the fear of survival. So ask yourself, how much of that are you doing for your team? If your team's creativity isn't what it needs to be, then let's talk. As well as being an academic and an author, I help pharma and medtech strategists evolve their strategic capabilities. I do this using insight from my research into the Darwinian evolution of our industry and 4 decades of practical experience as a scientist and strategist. If our industry matters to you, then please subscribe, share and explore my work. You'll find my website has over 400 articles and papers. My YouTube channel has over 100 videos. Or best of all, let's set up a cup of tea and have a chat about how my research can help you.